What's up, guys? It's time for tennis, and well, the production quality of my content is going to be pretty upgraded from here on out, so you guys can look forward to that. I got my shirt on with my logo on it. Yeah, this is looking good. All right, cool. Let's get into this video. This is a video about my top 3 warranty shoes. At the end of the video, I'm actually going to go ahead and reveal 2 honorable mentions that got pretty close to making the cut, but didn't quite. Basically, I always get warranty shoes because I always burn through my shoes within 6 months, which is, what the durability guarantee covers you for. And real quick, if you don't know, the outsole guarantee basically just covers the rubber part of your outsole. Once you wear through that and you start to get through the foam layer of the shoe, if that part is exposed within 6 months, you will be able to get a free replacement pair from the manufacturer. This story is basically a summary of that journey and what I think are my top 3 warranty shoes after trying just about everything out there. So if you have a question about a shoe that I didn't talk about, you can leave them in the comments. If you guys also want to see me do a video of what I think the top 3 worst warranty shoes are, I think I could do a video on that as well. By the way, when I look for a warranty shoe, I'm looking for something that is reasonably lightweight. I want it to breathe well. It's got to be comfortable. And of course, it has to be reasonably durable. You might think that a durability guaranteed shoe is always going to be overbuilt so that it never has to be warranted, like it's basically impossible to wear through, but that's really not the case. I think a shoe like the Vapor Cage is actually a good example of that type of shoe, but I'm not really a fan of that one. I don't think it's very stable on the ground. I think it's really overbuilt, heavy, clunky, etc. The lacing system is clever but weird. I might do another video on that shoe. I did one already, but Anyway, let's get into the number 3 shoe. Coming up in number 3 is the Head Sprint Pro SF 3.0. This is a very lightweight option. If you ever look for shoes and you just want one of the lightest shoes out there, this shoe is actually still probably going to come up in your searches. So right away, it's already such a light option and it has that durability guarantee that's pretty crazy. So you might think, oh no, is it still comfortable? Does it breathe well? And yes, it actually does. One of the really cool things about this shoe is that it has a vent port on the bottom. And when you get this shoe, it comes with an insole. Obviously, underneath that insole comes with a sticker that you peel off and it reveals this vent port. Now, I've actually gone ahead and modified my shoe a little bit. I don't know if you can see it. It doesn't really matter, but I cut open a little bit more material to expose more of the vent just to really maximize the breathability. So obviously, I don't necessarily recommend doing that, but it's literally something you can just go ahead and do yourself if you want to get as much ventilation out of that as you possibly can. It has a mesh barrier at the bottom to protect it from things like dust, dirt, rocks getting inside of your shoes. So you'll get the air without any of the junk on the ground coming into your shoes. So that's a really cool design innovation on this shoe, and it puts it into a category of shoes that actually breathe really well. Real quick, just let me go into a list of pros and cons about the Sprint SF 3.0. It's a very lightweight shoe, like I already said. It's pretty much comfortable out of the box. I don't think it's one of those shoes that needs much of a break-in time. And it's actually quite durable. SF stands for super fabric, and I think there's a video out there of them like trying to stab this shoe, and it's basically like this uncuttable, unterrible material. So I'm gonna go ahead and assume that it's actually pretty durable overall. Like I can tell when I wear the shoe that my foot feels really secure, so it's not like a really overly elastic fabric or anything like that, but it's not so rigid that the shoe doesn't move with my foot at the same time. So it's a very good balance of both things. Now, I'm not the type of person to really drag the top part of my toe on the ground when I'm coming to a sliding stop. I know some people, they dig holes here in this area of the shoe sometimes, and some shoes are actually built up right there. This shoe actually has a buildup right here, sort of where the ball of your foot might be. But I think even to that kind of abrasion, this shoe is probably going to be more durable than most of them. But I can't personally attest to that kind of durability, but they do call it super fabric for a reason. I think this material would certainly be more durable in that regard than most. Now, when you talk about comfort, I mentioned how the shoe fits. I think that it is a comfortable fitting shoe. But there's 2 things I could say, and one is that there isn't a whole lot of cushion, but the cushion is efficient and comfortable. So it's not a mushy shoe, but it's just enough cushion to not cause you problems. Now, I've tried a shoe called the New Balance 996 V4, terrible name for marketing reasons. That shoe, which is in a similar weight category, I find that shoe to be really harsh when you're just walking around, stepping, jumping around on the court. It can cause like little bits of knee pain. So I would say that this shoe actually breathes a little bit better. It's in the same weight category, and it's actually more comfortable, and it deals with things like impact and stuff on the ground better without being too mushy. So comfort all around really solid. Cons. I do want to say that I think that the shoe could still breathe a little bit better. It's great that the bottom port opens up, so the bottom of your foot maybe gets some good breathability. But I still feel like on the top part of the shoe, it could breathe a little bit better. But I'm gonna be honest here, I think I'm maybe being a little too critical. I have a shoe up here that breathes insanely well, so it just kind of puts into perspective like how much better this shoe could breathe. But again, among all the shoes out there, I still think this is in a category that is better than average. But I just feel like this shoe really wants to breathe well because it has this vent port in here. Just because it does have that, I feel like it could or maybe should breathe better than it does. But it still breathes really well. I think my biggest actual knock on this shoe is the toe box. It's a little bit narrow. And I'm someone who's actually critical of that kind of a thing, but I went up a half size and I'm pretty happy with it. I do wish that the toe box were a little bit larger, but I think if you go up a size or a half size with this shoe, some people say it runs a little small. Maybe it does, or maybe it's that narrow toe box. I think even if you're the type of person to be critical of things like toe box space, you can go up in size a little bit and find yourself to be happy with this shoe. So there it is, that's the Sprint SF Pro 3.0. Coming in at number 2 is a shoe by New Balance called the 1006 or 1006. The top qualities of this shoe, pros, would be that it breathes extremely well. It's one of the best breathing shoes I've ever tried. It has a lot of mesh material all around the shoe so the air just really flows through the shoe nicely. Sometimes in the summertime, I feel like I want to take off my socks and just let my feet breathe. This is the only shoe where I've really felt like that's not necessary. Like that thought doesn't cross my mind. It breathes that well, it's ridiculous. So when it comes to breathability, I'm not really sure that it's fair to compare any shoe to this one. It's also still a really light shoe, surprisingly. Maybe by now you guys can actually tell that weight is a pretty important thing to me. I just feel like if your shoes are heavier, that's literally holding you back every single step that you take. So as light as your shoes can be, I feel like that's the way to go. Obviously, you don't want to sacrifice things like durability and comfort too much. But yeah, I like to get as close as I can to optimal lightweight shoe and not sacrifice too much on all those other categories. So yeah, this is another shoe that fits that criteria for me. It's light, it breathes super well, but it also comes in 3 different width sizes. I don't know of any other tennis shoe that does this. This is such a New Balance thing to offer shoes in different widths, but this one they offer in size D, size 2E, and size 4E, which is crazy. There's almost no 4E shoes on the tennis market. And this might actually be the only 4E shoe that has a durability guarantee on the tennis market. Not 100% sure, but there's a good chance. Anyway, I decided to go ahead and get the 4E size, and maybe you can tell if I put these two shoes up next to each other kind of, can you guys tell how wide the platform is on this 4E shoe? I feel so stable on the ground with this, and it's really nice to actually spread my toes a bit inside of the shoe so I can just maximize stability. I think a lot of people play with crunched toes and, you know, it just makes your foot less stable. But if you spread out your toes, you just have that much more ground to work with, and this shoe allows that, and it also expands on that by being so wide. So this shoe is insanely stable when you're on the ground. It's also nice that it's a one-piece sole. There's quite a bit of one-piece sole shoes out there, but this head shoe is another two-piece sole example. One of those things I don't think a lot of people really observe in much detail, but arguably you have better ground sense because it is a full contact with the ground. Maybe get more grip again because you have the entire shoe's bottom on the ground. Maybe not a make or break thing, but something to observe and appreciate. Yeah, and despite the fact that this doesn't have a vent port on the bottom, it's the best breathing shoe of all by far. The only knock that I really have on this shoe is actually, it probably has to do with how well the shoe actually breathes. So as I mentioned, there's so much mesh, like really open air mesh material on this shoe. I think there's so much of that on this shoe that it does affect the structural integrity of the shoe just a little bit. So you might feel that your foot isn't quite as secure as it might be in some shoes. Now, I'm gonna tell you why I don't think that's a problem for most people, and it's certainly not a problem for me. It's not a problem for most people because I haven't really seen this complained about, but if I just go ahead and twist around these shoes, I can tell that I have to wrestle with that one a lot more to get that material to move around. And I can tell that it's much more comfortable effortlessly because the whole shoe just kind of moves around my foot more cooperatively. But in a situation where you're getting into really lateral aggressive movement, maybe you're gonna feel like the shoe doesn't support your foot in place quite as well. But 100%, one of the biggest reasons that's not a problem for me is because I use a product called Gripliner. I've done a video on them before, but you can see here, it's green in this case, which is their medium strength one. I have a blue one, which is their high strength one in a different shoe. They kind of work equally well for me, to be honest. But this product is super lightweight. It only weighs a few grams and it goes on top of your insole, increases the grip that you have between your foot and the shoe massively. Like you're basically glued into your shoe. I don't think people know what it feels like to actually accelerate and come to a stop with your foot not really moving inside of your shoe. If you just have a regular sock on and you're playing with the stock insoles or even an upgraded insole, you are not enjoying the kind of grip that I'm getting with Gripliner. And it means that your foot is gonna slide a little bit inside of your shoe before your shoe actually moves. And the only thing keeping your foot from actually moving any further is probably the edges of the shoe squeezing your foot. So ever since Gripliner, I've been able to wear slightly looser, larger shoes. I don't tie my laces quite as much because I have so much friction below my foot that I can rely on to keep my foot in place. So with the right combination of socks and Gripliner, I have the most comfortable, amazing traction inside of my shoe. And it's one of those things I just can't go back. I can't go back to regular shoes and how it used to feel wearing them. It's a game-changing product, absolutely, and it's not even that expensive. Check them out, Instagram, Gripliner, gripliner.com. Let them know that Time for Tennis sent you because I am going to be talking about that product more. Absolutely game-changing, love it. Have it in all my shoes, can't get enough of it, can't go back, etc. It's game-changing. All right, well, that was the New Balance 1006. What is with these serial number names? Let's reveal the number one shoe. Do you guys have any idea what it might be? Take a guess. All right, maybe somebody got it right. It's the A6 Gel Resolution 8, I believe. I got this one in a 2E width. Really nice of A6 to offer two different sizes. If you get the size 2E width, I believe it only comes in this color, which is fine. Some of the A6 shoe colors are too much in the past. Thankfully, this one's a pretty neutral looking shoe. They just go crazy with the colors sometimes. So let me say right away, when it comes to this shoe being in the number one spot, the main reason is that it actually fits pretty much all the criteria of all the other shoes and what is important to me in a shoe, like the weight and the breathability, comfort, etc., durability. The thing is that this shoe is actually just so well-rounded. But I should also say that I don't really feel that I like this shoe way more than the other choices. My top three choices are basically interchangeable for me, but this shoe is so well-rounded in how it's designed that I just have to give it the number one spot. So it comes in two widths, D and 2E, and I feel like it is a legit 2E. My toes can move around, my foot is comfortable inside of the shoe. Again, Gripliner, my foot's not moving around in here at all. Breathability is solid, again, kind of somewhere in between. It breathes pretty well, but it doesn't blow me away. Feel like I never have to take my socks off or something like that, but I can't complain. It breathes well. The cushion is actually really good on this shoe too. It feels like of all the shoes, maybe it has some of the best like lively bounce feel to it. It's not a massive night and day difference, but it just feels a little bit better. So comfort in terms of how it feels to move around on the court, but also be inside of the shoe, great. But again, all these shoes are kind of great in that regard. And it is slightly heavier than the other options, but it's not a heavy, clunky shoe. It's kind of somewhere in between. It's pretty just average. I should just say that it's an average weight shoe. The other ones are below average weight. This one is just average weight. However, there are two potential cons that I have to say about this shoe. So one person that I hit with actually thinks that this shoe just doesn't grip very well out of the box at all. For me, it feels like it grips exactly as much as I want it to. So right out of the box, I'm moving and sliding as predictably as some of my more broken in shoes are. So, I mean, this New Balance is at a point right now, I'm actually about to send this one in. It's too slippery now. The tread pattern's a lot more thin on that shoe, like the grooves don't go as deep into the outsole as it does on this New Balance shoe. So we'll see how this shoe grips over time, but you got this one piece outsole here, and I'm sure it's a preference thing and it's a court thing. Like some people play indoors with courts that are resurfaced and clean and those grip like freaking sandpaper. If you're playing outdoors on courts that haven't been resurfaced in a while, they're kind of polished down, maybe a little bit dusty depending on where you live. And maybe this shoe, once it's broken in, might not grip so well on those kinds of courts. So that's going to be a preference and environment thing no matter who you talk to. But for me, and as someone who's tried a variety of shoes and someone that does slide to stops and stuff on court, I feel like this is just right outside of the box. But again, we'll see how that grip ages over time. The other con, let me tell you about the first time that I tried this shoe. I think I got it in a standard width. It was when they first revealed this whole toe strap thing that they have on here. And that's what these two little eyelet holes are actually. So this lacing system has two eyelets that actually aren't attached to the shoe that the rest of the eyelet holes are attached to. It actually goes like deeper into the shoe. And it's a little bit hard to explain. Basically, when you pull on one side, it sort of increases tension on the other side of your shoe where the toe strap is wrapped around. That's actually kind of a cool thing, but I didn't like initially how thin these laces are. I've grown to accept them, but I don't really love that about the shoe. Again, it's just, I put the shoe on and I can kind of forget about it. But the first thing I did when I got this shoe is, oh, these laces are really thin. Let me get some thicker laces that I actually like. And what that did is the way that this lace has to fit through this toe strap thing, the thicker lace automatically pulls it open a little bit more. So it actually increases tension on the toe strap and there's nothing I can do about it. Like literally just the thickness of the lace is enough to pull tension on that toe strap, meaning no matter what I did, the toe strap felt over tightened regardless of how loose the rest of my laces were. So I really feel like this shoe is designed to work with the thin laces that it came with. I kind of wish that it weren't, but that's, you know, just how it is. Again, I've managed to basically forget about and accept it. I don't know if anyone else has run into that issue before, but again, my first impression of this shoe, I sent it back because that was just too much of a bother for me. I didn't really consider that the laces it came with were going to work well with the design of the shoe. I don't think the toe strap is this thing that I really need on all my shoes. I don't even know if it makes a huge difference in terms of how the shoe fits. It might just be a marketing gimmick, but it's fine and it works well with the lacing system and laces that came with the shoes. So I can't mess with that as much as I would like to have thicker laces. All good. I put the shoes on. I got my Gripliner in here. I don't really notice an issue. But yeah, as far as a list of cons go, I feel like my cons for all these shoes are very minimal. Like I can't put much weight on them because even if I do have something negative to say about the shoe, I really don't feel that strongly about what I'm saying in a negative way. So those are my top 3 shoes. And like I said, I've tried so many of them thanks to the supply chain issues and just general anxiety of what am I going to do when I send my shoe in for a warranty? I need to have a tennis shoe around it. So yeah, I got a few options that I'm happy with now. And you know, as time goes on and new shoes come onto the market and get discontinued, the old ones, I just got to keep on top of having some shoes that I know that I like that also have a 6-month warranty. Let's get into the honorable mentions. So not in any particular order, I'm just going to talk about 2. Let's talk about the Head Revolt Pro 4.0, I think. It might be the 4.5 by now. Does it say somewhere here? It does. Head Revolt Pro 4.0. So much like the Sprint, they're actually both pretty lightweight shoes. This one's a little bit heavier though. It has a vent port on the bottom. So breathability is actually about the same. And I have the same complaints, like it doesn't breathe on the top as well as it does on the bottom, but it kind of averages out to being a pretty well breathing shoe, but I can't really brag about how well it breathes despite the fact it has a vent port on the bottom. But it's pretty light, it's comfortable out of the box. Maybe this one needs a little bit more break-in time than the Sprint SF Pro, but it's a comfortable shoe. All in all, I have a lot of the same good things to say about this shoe as I do the other ones, but the reason it didn't quite make the cut as my favorite shoe is actually, it has to do with something regarding the cushioning. You can see that the cushioning is reasonably thick, but in all honesty, something about it just feels kind of dead. Like it feels as though the cushion kind of died within a few weeks of playing with this shoe. And I noticed that my knees had like a slight irritation to them. And I just was thinking like, have I changed anything or is it just the shoes? Because I play every day. If something is causing me to, you know, stress my body more than something else, I'm probably going to notice because I'm playing every day. That's happened to me before. Those 996 V4 shoes I mentioned by New Balance, I did notice that I was having some knee pain. And that was the first time I was thinking like, am I just getting old? Am I playing too much? Or is it my shoes? Because that's the only thing I've changed recently. So it turned out it was my shoes, and I had a similar experience, although this is definitely more comfortable than the 996 V4. That's the only reason this shoe isn't quite making the cut. My battery's gonna die soon. I gotta speed through this. The next shoe is the K-Swiss Hypercourt 3. Is that the name? Oh God, the battery. The K-Swiss Ultrashot 3. The reason that shoe didn't make the cut is because it doesn't breathe very well and it's noticeably heavier than the other 2 shoes, but everything else about it I really liked. If you're in the market for shoes, I would look at all of these before I looked at that one, but that would be the next one on the list if nothing else makes the cut or is not available for you. So there it is. My battery's gonna die, so I gotta make it quick. Be sure to like and subscribe if you appreciate the content. I really appreciate you guys watching, and yeah, stay tuned for some future videos. Let me know again in the comments if you want me to do a video on the top 3 worst warranty shoes. And I have some exciting announcements regarding Toro Line, a string company that's been frustrating me. And yeah, I guess that's it for now. All right, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye for now. Oh yeah, check out the Instagram, isn't.co, for my clothing brand. I got dampeners and a lot of other cool stuff coming. All right, I'll see you guys there. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.